Sometimes the strongest smiles hide the deepest pain. For years, Mauricio Umansky, the charismatic real estate mogul, father and husband to Kylerichards, seemed to have it all. A thriving business, a beautiful family, and a marriage admired across Beverly Hills. But behind the mansions, cameras, and red carpets, something darker was unfolding, a private struggle that would test the very foundation of their love. And when the truth finally came out, it wasn't just a headline. It was a wake-up call for Kyle, for their daughters, and for everyone who's ever faced fear in silence. The hidden struggle. For decades, Mauricio was known as the Rock, steady, confident, and endlessly devoted. While others in Beverly Hills courted chaos, he brought calm. But in early 2025, that calm was shattered. During what he thought was a routine checkup, doctors discovered something that sent a chill through the room, a mass that required immediate testing. Days turned into weeks of waiting, each one heavier than the last. And when the results came back, the diagnosis no one ever wants to hear appeared on the screen: cancer. The word alone was enough to silence the noise of Beverly Hills. It didn't matter how successful he was, or how perfect their life seemed. In that moment, everything, the deals, the fame, the spotlight, faded to gray. The moment Kyle found out. Kyle was the first person Mauricio called. Those who know her best say she was filming when she got the message. Her face went pale, her hands trembled, and for a few seconds, the cameras stopped rolling. Later, in a quiet moment at home, she sat beside him on the couch. There were no extravagant words, no reality TV dramatics. Just two people, holding hands, processing the unthinkable. Mauricio, the man who'd built an empire with confidence and charm, whispered, "I'm scared, Kyle. I don't know what comes next." Her reply was simple but unwavering. "Then we'll face it, together." Love under pressure. The news didn't stay private for long. When reports surfaced that Mauricio had stepped away from multiple listings and appearances, fans began asking questions. Soon after, Kylerichards confirmed in a heartfelt statement that her husband was undergoing treatment. She spoke with quiet honesty, not as a TV star, but as a wife watching the man she loves fight for his life. She said, "It changes you. It reminds you what really matters." And suddenly, the world saw them differently. Not as a glamorous couple under the rhobh lens, but as two humans, bound by love and fear, clinging to faith in the face of uncertainty. The fight and the faith. As the weeks passed, Mauricio began treatment surrounded by his family. Kyle rarely left his side. Their daughters, Farah, Alexia, Sophia, and Portia, became his constant source of strength. There were tough days, hospital visits, sleepless nights, quiet tears behind closed doors. But there were also moments of laughter, gratitude, and hope. Mauricio often told friends, "I'm learning to slow down, to appreciate every sunrise." And when he was strong enough to speak publicly, he didn't focus on fear, he focused on faith. He urged people, especially men, not to ignore the warning signs, to take their health seriously, to understand that vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage. In one emotional interview, Kyle said, "I used to think strength was about holding it together, but watching Mauricio fight, I learned it's about letting people in." Their story has now become something far more powerful than a reality headline. It's a reminder that behind every beautiful home and polished photo, there's a heartbeat, fragile, human, and brave. And for Mauricio and Kyle, this chapter is not about loss. It's about love, healing, and the kind of faith that outshines even the darkest diagnosis. In the weeks that followed his diagnosis, Mauricio's world transformed completely. The pace of luxury listings, red carpet events, and negotiations slowed to a near stop. The man who once sealed multi-million-dollar deals with ease now faced a far different challenge, one that money, fame, or status could not solve. For the first time in decades, Mauricio wasn't thinking about market trends or celebrity estates. He was thinking about mornings, about waking up without pain, about the faces of his daughters smiling over breakfast, and about holding Kyle's hand for just a little longer each night. Kyle became the constant heartbeat of his recovery. Friends who visited said her strength was both quiet and unyielding, the kind of courage that doesn't shout but steadies the air in the room. She organized every appointment, researched treatments, and never left his side during chemotherapy sessions. Mauricio would later say that what kept him going wasn't the medication alone, it was her presence. She'd sit beside him in the hospital, laptop open, sometimes watching old home videos on her phone. Moments of their early days together, when life was simpler, before fame ever found them. There were days when the pain was unbearable, when even speaking took effort. And on those nights, Kyle would wrap her arms around him and whisper, "You're still you, you're still my strength, this doesn't define you." Those words became his lifeline. By mid-2025, doctors delivered the news they had both prayed for: the treatments were working. The tumor had shrunk significantly, and for the first time in months, there was genuine hope. That evening, Kyle and Mauricio celebrated quietly at home. No champagne, no extravagant dinner, just their family gathered around a candlelit table, laughter echoing through the house. Kyle later said, "When you come that close to losing everything, you realize you already have all you need." Mauricio smiled, his voice still weak but filled with gratitude. "I didn't survive this because I'm strong. I survived because I was loved." Emotional close. As Mauricio's health began to improve, so did his outlook on life. The months that followed his recovery were unlike anything he'd experienced before. A blend of reflection, gratitude, and rediscovery. He had spent years chasing success, pouring his energy into the agency, building a reputation as one of Los Angeles' top real estate brokers. But now his focus had shifted. For the first time, Mauricio wasn't measuring his worth by the size of his deals or the glamour of his lifestyle. He was measuring it in heartbeats, in shared moments, in quiet mornings with Kyle, in the laughter of their daughters echoing down the hallway. "Everything I used to think was urgent doesn't matter anymore," he told a close friend. "I used to live for the next big thing. Now, I just want to live, really live." Kyle noticed the change immediately. The man who once juggled phone calls during dinner now put his phone away completely. He started taking long walks with her through Beverly Hills, stopping to notice things he'd always overlooked: the scent of blooming jasmine, the way the light hit the palm trees at sunset, the simple peace of being present. One evening, while sitting on their back patio, Kyle asked softly, "Do you ever miss the old pace? The chaos? The hustle?" Mauricio smiled faintly, looking out at the city skyline. "I thought I would," he admitted. "But the truth is, I miss this more. Us, life, the things that don't come with a price tag." Their conversations became deeper, their silences more meaningful. And though the world outside still buzzed with gossip and headlines, their home became a sanctuary, a place where healing and love took center stage. As Mauricio regained his strength, he began documenting his journey privately, not for publicity, but for his daughters. He wanted them to understand what it meant to face fear with courage. In one of his journal entries, he wrote, "If they ever doubt their strength, I want them to remember this time that their father didn't fight alone, that love, real love, is the medicine that never runs out." Kyle later found that notebook tucked inside his bedside drawer. Reading his words brought her to tears, not from sadness, but from overwhelming pride. She had seen him at his weakest, and now she was witnessing his rebirth. When Mauricio was finally cleared to return to work, he did so on his own terms. No flashy openings or grand announcements, just quiet determination. He returned to his office at the agency one morning in late summer, greeted by his team with applause and tears. But what he said to them that day left a lasting impression. Take care of your business, yes, but take care of your people more. You never know what someone's carrying when they walk through that door. From that moment forward, Mauricio made it his mission to promote health and balance within his company. He started wellness programs for his employees, encouraging them to get regular checkups and prioritize family time. It was no longer just about selling homes, it was about building lives that felt whole. Kyle, meanwhile, continued to stand by his side, both as a wife and as his biggest supporter. Her own strength had been tested during those long months, but she emerged more grounded than ever. In interviews, she often reflected on how the experience reshaped her perspective. "I think I used to live half in the future," she shared, worrying about what's next, how things would look, what people would say. "But now, I'm just grateful for the now. For this second, this breath, this love." That gratitude became the foundation of their renewed marriage. After years of being in the public eye, of balancing fame and family, Kyle and Mauricio rediscovered each other, not as reality TV icons, but as the people they were before it all began.